All hands on deck. Out on the street we used to meet. So this is a big story out of Japan. So I call it the KK reactor because I don't want to butcher the Japanese language. So it's on the Sea of Japan side, on the China side, directly across the island of Japan from Fukushima, Daiichi Diani. It's on the other side. Now, so they've been battling to try to reopen this. Now, just remember, this is important. The 50 some odd reactors, you can 48 to 58, depending on if you use their secret CIA MOX fuel ones that they only like to talk about, have been all offline except for all of them. 2011. Oh, no rolling blackouts. They told us it made up 60-70% of the grid in Japan. Doesn't make up any of their lies, just like here. Remember that shut down San Onofre? Oh, it makes up 12% of the California. No, doesn't make up any. It takes more energy to keep San Onofre open, right? Well, it did. Thank God we've got it shut. And it's where's your can? To keep them open to cool the spent fuel pools. It's like in Texas. When the spent fuel pools, they can't freeze. Spent fuel pools cannot freeze. They had to heat them. So they were heating the spent fuel pools, the nuclear energy that didn't work while children died. Right as NASA is sending people to the moon. I was just doing some work on the 1961 greatest college prank in history. Caltech at the Rose Bowl. There's so much more to that story. Caltech, whoa, there's a lot more to that story on the placement of what they did to the bowl games. I mean, anyway, I'll do a whole piece on that. But anyway, this reactor, now remember, this is a military grade reactor, you know, with MOX fuel in it. Now in 1977, activists like myself, we fought. Yeah, I was at it clear back then. We got MOX fuel banned. This is even before 3 Mile Island here. Can't use it. So what they do, they just took the fuel here, sent it to Japan. While they're going to build the MOX fuel fairy tale, which I call the Tower to Babel, at Savannah River, South Carolina. By the way, Vogel, as I've been telling you for years, they'll never complete that. That thing, talk about a loot job in Georgia. They've come out and says they're delayed again for the umpteenth time. The only reactor that's been built went on, only took 44 years, Watts bar. But anyway, this reactor, so they fought through the courts and they tried to refire it up. And I got all kinds of good information from Japan, clear back. This was 4 years ago. In, God, can you believe it? 2017 or maybe even 2016. And I reported it and think about these psychopaths. They started it up on the same week as Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Well, they had some heavy wind over there. Typhoon. And it got clogged, the intake. You know, these things suck up the old worst water. They just boil the whole worst water over and over and over. Yeah, stick your hand over it. Yeah, that's your answer to climate change. Hell of a way to boil a planet. It got clogged full. And it was in big trouble. It was having a nightmare. God only knows if it had any. How would we know? There's not a camera there on that one like there is Fukushima Daiichi. Like Diana, we don't know. The only reason we know about Daiichi is because the live cam was on it. And that was activists that got it there because Fukushima had problems in 99, it had problems in 97, and myself included. So back to the MOX fuel fairy tale at Savannah River. Arriva, Chicago Bridge and Iron, they get together. Oh, we've got it. The French have got it. Yay. I've done multiple interviews in France this year, and they're all ears. They're going to shut down their program. Believe it or not, France is done with nuclear interest. I'm telling you. They've had it. They're moving to wind and solar too. The whole world is, except for the United States. Well, we are too. But they're going kicking and screaming and looting out the door every penny. So the NRA, the Nuclear Regulatory Authority, not to be confused with the NRC here, which are the same. Here, I call the nuclear rallying cheerleader. Now, the head of the NRC, who was a psychopath, who's been exchanged by the Biden regime, who is the person. Now, this is important because it's corrupt. She should be in jail with Jose Reyes. So all these Utah legislators, all these politicians should be locked up for this. She approved. She's head of they guard us. She is head of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission that gives NuScale the permission and the grant, okays it. Now stay with me. Yeah, she was from here. Jose Reyes is the CEO of NuScale, Idaho National Lab. He worked for the United States government there with her. They work together. Lovers. And then she approves him. He gets the big grant, driving the Bugatti, driving the Lamborghinis around. You know, no accountability. How corrupt can you get? So back to Japan, the NRA. So the NRA said no yesterday. Now you think about it, this is a big step because none of them are fired back up. 2 weapon grade ones supposedly. Now we don't know for sure. There's no rolling blackouts over there. Oh, they've had to go back. No, they've moved so quickly on solar because it's so easy now. You know, we're not having this argument in 1977. So the MOX fuel, instead of obeying the law, we'll just send it to Japan. It's kind of like the Browning family here when FDR looks right at the Browns. There'll be no war profiteering in World War I like World War II. Well, we don't care. We make it at Lee National. We'll sell to both sides. And we don't have to obey by the U.S. laws, these multinationals. We just live here. We just exploit the taxpayer here. We just get taxpayer bailouts. I like all these so-called stimulus loans to companies, and there's no regulation. They're supposed to do this, and they go buy whatever. No, I mean, you think about this loot job during the Trump administration, now the Biden administration. Well, if you're going to give companies giant freaking checks, including Tom Brady, including the NFL, including, the Lakers, all these companies, and then and you have to do X, Y, Z with the money, and none of them do that money, and there's nobody to police it there. It's kind of like the Bayer Monsanto Roundup settlement. Yeah, okay, yeah, they're going to settle. Yeah, when hell freezes over. So the NRA today in Japan said no. Nope, you're not starting it up. Now, this had worked through the courts over and over and over. And the court said no, then it got overturned. The court said yes. So the court had ruled that they could. So
no, I don't. Love you guys. Bye.
The last line of defense is supposedly these nuclear regulatory. Now, again, the Biden regime made a change. The thing that's irony on this is Kamala Harris is sitting right by me on the whole Senate Onofre thing. I'm the one that fed her office everything. I'm the one that broke this when I was full of cancer on the Senate Onofre, which, by the way, the Senate Onofre shut down. They had no intention to shut down. If it wasn't for myself, Gary Hedrake, and Kathy Iwani, it would have never happened. Kathy was in Japan, trapped. She was finding out she was schooled on the board. I leaked all this out. When they were cheating on the exchange of Senate Onofre, it's the greatest accomplishment of grassroots activists in American history, bar none. They had no intention to shut down. Kevin Blanch shut them down. I was feeding Kamala Harris all the goods. She was the Attorney General in California. Her mother, the epidemiologist at Livermore, the Indian. She's Indian. From India. She died of cancer in 2009. Kamala Harris just went after him. She went after him, and they were afraid. And I'm like, well, I've got all the goods. My anonymous arm, we got it on you. And they threw that. They had no intention. Friends of the Earth, they scammed us. They got on their side. That's what they do. Friends of the Earth, Greenpeace, Sierra Club, the greenwashing machines. They betrayed us. Gunder Shield works for the nuclear industry. Arnie and his wife work for hello, it's right in your face. They work for the nuclear industry. It controls opposition. They're paid. They're funded by him. Beyond Nuclear is funded directly. Kevin Camps is one of the biggest frauds. I asked Kevin Camps to his face. He started shaking his knees in D.C. I'm not an anti-nuclear at the peace vigil. I'm not an anti-nuclear Kevin. I thought he was going to start to cry. What a punk. Kellycott's a book writer, right up in the sense. I met her supposedly. She showed up the second day. Everybody's there the second day, and she shows up 4 hours later because she's hungover. That's hell. And don't use the F word. I'm sitting with Noam Chomsky. We're both rolling our eyes. So, Busby, that piece of shit works right for that. Queen directly reports to her. You know, it's amazing. So I reported this thing, it made the front page of Reddit. I knew Aaron Swartz personally. Think about it, and Reddit's got a link on me. Reddit sure the fuck don't get it. It was on the front page of Reddit. It had 123,000 views in just a few hours. And I'm like, holy shit. Then all of a sudden Google pulls it. I didn't put it on Reddit. I had nothing to do with any of this. Google, I was like, what the hell? Google comes back to me, you know, because you had just email, you can't talk to a person. Finally, you know, weeks later, they got, well, we pulled it because. That's before they could kettle, you know, internet kettling. I'm the one that termed that term in internet. And we talk about net neutrality. Yeah, he works at Harvard. He's on the Obama administration. I'm the guy that termed it internet kettling. And I'll tell you a great story about kettling. When in New York City, remember the 5th of November, the Million Mass March, who invented what turned out to be Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is a joke now. I mean, it's just a big greenwashing machine, whitewashing machine, blackwashing machine, just money-making machines that do shit. So there's an interview with Vice right there with me. We're standing there. 3:11 past. This clock struck midnight on March 11th, 2011, 10 years ago. And I'm passing the megaphone. AOC herself's there in the crowd. I didn't know who she was. A lot of people. I'm running the show. Cops are all going to kettle us. So you can look it up. Vice says, oh, Kevin Blanche held his Million Mass March here in New York. The same day that, remember the 5th of November, the head of RT was beat to death in D.C., right at DuPont Circle, where I stay. I got a tip. So they're trying to kettle us. So we whisper through the crowd. You go that way, you go that way, you go that way. 45 minutes we meet at Fox News. We caught the cops so off guard. Because I know they've been kettling us. And by the way, I'm the guy that termed the term internet kettling. And that's what they've done to Dana and myself. They just, you know, the term throttling, shadow banning. Trump gives them power to try shadow ban. He doesn't even know we have, you know, Bush dumb, Obama dumber. Oh God, him and Bruce Springsteen. Don't let me down, Bruce. Those two together. I was listening to that the other day on the March Madness podcast. Come on, and I almost threw up. God, the sound of his voice makes me want to puke, the betraying phony fucker. And dumb, Obama dumber, and dumbest, Trump and his useful idiots. So they restarted it up. They've been fighting. The court said yes, and this is directly across. This is on the Sea of Japan's side. It's a big statement. They said no. You have too many problems. So, you know, it's a big. I'm telling you, you know, the PR machines here in the United States, they have all the money. Until the FBI starts busting these guys, and the first one they need to bust is the Utah State politicians. I'm the guy that exposed all that. NewScale's original funding was Kenwood Financial. They went to jail for a Ponzi scheme. It's all a fraud, you know. So until they start doing their job, you know, the FBI's original charter to go after corrupt governments. No governments on the face of the earth are more corrupt than Weber County, Utah. Utah, period. None are more corrupt. None. Check out the head of the DNR. Check out who's head of the agriculture, my neighbor. Check him out. You don't think they're corrupt, the club. President White, this university, up at his house. He had to bolt out of here because his corruption got caught. What a piece of dog shit. It's amazing. So, NRC says no. It's a big story. So back to the Moxville fairy tale, Savannah River. Chicago Bridge and Iron bankrupt. Westinghouse bankrupt. Toshiba owns Westinghouse. What happened to them? World Bank just keeps bailing them out. Trump, more pork, more bailout than even Obama. And I didn't think it's possible. And you guys are all caught up in left-right dynamics when nothing else matters. Fukushima. Dead ties, bullshit. So, internet kettled Kevin Blanche. So, but at least we got it up there. Maybe the kettling will stop at some point, and you know the brakes will come off, and they'll set me free. You know, I've been in this cage for 10 years, this leukemia cage, and just remember what they've done to me. The attack and the hired trolls and slandered me are felonies. I have AML leukemia. I was given 2 months to live almost 10 years ago. Open heart surgery, gallbladder, when I've done all this work. To attack me, to slander me, to do what they've done to me, my own government, are felonies in all 50 states. But, you know, I'm an anti-nuker, so the nuker industry, a.k.a. the untouchables. Stay tuned.